Hi, it's Harry for Monday Sportif. This is episode 5 of our Euro 2024 preview series. We have Luka from Georgian Footy.
Thank you
The
for having me.
It's a pleasure. The surprise and package of the tournament in the qualifying beat Greece in on penalties. Can you look at Greece and see what they did 0-4 and think, well, maybe you're not going to win it, but you can certainly take inspiration from that.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Obviously, they've pulled off a massive upset like 20 years ago, but to start with, it was just the main thing was just to qualify, and the rest comes in whenever you're in the tournament and sort of see how the opportunities line up for you. But obviously, yeah, everyone's in the tournament to compete. There's no one's in there just for the numbers, and hopefully we will be able to manage something positive, let me put it this way, because even the group isn't as tough as others, I'd say. We've got relatively like a well balanced group. Obviously, Portugal are probably the main favourites to qualify from it directly, but Turkey, Czech Republic, us, I think there will be some opportunities for us to get a positive result, maybe in one or two games. So we'll see, man. We'll see.
Well, I mean, you mentioned that there is a chance of potentially sneaking your way through, especially when you have. I mean, you're going to have to help me with the pronunciations of the surname. Kavica for Napoli and
Yeah.
Georgian for Metz. They're two strikers who you've seen all year, week in, week out, and they've been ripping it up, scoring lots of goals, featuring prominently for their teams, really flying the flag of Georgia proud. Can they be a formidable force in the group?
There should be, but you have to also consider like it is a team game, isn't it? Like obviously 11 plus players play. Obviously, if you're counting the players off the bench and having no real experience will obviously be an issue for us as we're there for the first time. But again, individuals win your games at times, and having players like Reacher and Mikhail Tadze plays for Mets quite nicely. Has racked up a fair few goals already in 2024. We've got a good goalkeeper in Mamadashvili who plays for Valencia, and they are definitely players who could sort of edge us against certain opponents. But again, it's a team game, it's a team effort, and even against Greece, I'm not sure if you've seen like the footage and stuff. We've obviously on paper at least we were the inferior side, despite the sort of like one or two names who are probably playing better football than some of the Greek players. But no, as a whole, they were a better team. But again, team effort. Everyone decided to sort of get stuck in, and in obviously 120 minutes played, and then the penalties, which is obviously sort of nerve-wracking and tiring for players, physically and mentally, obviously. But yeah, with that unity and I don't know how to put this. Yeah, probably unity that won it for us that game, and hopefully even at the tournament, the players will decide to team up the way they did, and we'll see a few positive results. And again, it's a one-off game. You know what I mean? Like every single team can beat another team in 90 minutes of football. It's not like a whole tournament of like 36 league games. It's just one game against one team on a neutral venue. So obviously there will be some chances. I'm pretty sure about that. And we've definitely got players to back it. Definitely got players who could deliver. But again, it's more of a team effort rather than just one, two, three, or four individuals just pushing you through it. So yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Although I would counter with Mbappe and PSG and how he sort of single-handedly dragged them into to top positions in the
Yeah.
European competition frequently. But you're right; it is important to prioritise that team unity that has obviously helped them get that far already. How high was the national elation after the victory? Because I saw there was a bit of political interference as well, which sort of
Yeah.
complicated matters.
Well, nowadays the last I'd say 2 or 3 weeks have been rather tense because of well, so-called political tensions in Tbilisi, but um, and all over Georgia, not just Tbilisi. But I mean, that game was something that the whole nation was waiting for around 34 years, let me put it this way. And even at the game, although like the stadium holds about 54,000 people, there were at least 65,000 people just sneaking in, like policemen, and the security was like, okay, you could just quietly just sneak in and just sit on the stairs and all sorts of things. And You could just feel the unity, probably. Again, as I've mentioned unity before, and obviously it is a team game, but obviously the home crowd definitely gives you an extra sort of boost, extra sort of push for you to just do a bit more. And after the game, delight, absolute delight. About like 10, 12,000 people rushed to the ground. People stayed there, took, I don't know, they cut the nets off, took the grass off of the field, and it was everyone was celebrating on the streets until like I don't know 7, 8, 9 a.m. And for me personally, it was the first time that I felt like the whole country was sort of together. Even it didn't really, unfortunately, didn't last long, and we nowadays we're suffering from a bit difficult times. But at those sort of 1, 2 weeks, the first 1 or 2 weeks, where when you kind of feel that every single person, no matter if they love football or don't, no matter they've been at the stadium or watched the game, they felt that they were in it together and they were celebrating even after the game and days after the games. And I've also mentioned this before to one of my friends, like those 2 weeks before the game, it was always raining, windy, bad weather. The morning we qualified, sunny, 22 degrees, everyone's happy, the weather's fine, so it was a perfect scenario basically for us. And yeah, I would say it was probably the biggest significant, one of the most significant moments in Georgian history, not just sports in general.
And you mentioned obviously the significance and the groundswell of optimism and stuff, and how it can be quite powerful. How do you view that in terms of moving forward with Georgia, not just in terms of inspiring the next generation of football players and helping people attract people to the league? I just saw your tweet about Mamadou Saka coming to the league,
Yeah, yeah.
um, and not just that, but also in the immediate future, bringing a bit of a hopefully sort of concentrating minds. We've seen the power of sport so many times in what it can do in shaping not just sport but political discourses as well and national discourses.
Yeah, for sure. Because to start with, we are a country with a rather difficult social background, let me put it this way, and especially in the 90s when we regained independence from the Soviet Union. The entire nation, and even like we could also separate this via sports and outside sports, but those sort of 10, 15 years up until like mid 2000s, every single like 98% of the population was living in way below the average sort of, poverty levels and stuff. And obviously, these sort of moments in football or any other sports, I would say that or that way. But we had success in rugby, basketball, and individual sports like weightlifting and stuff in the Olympics and stuff. But nothing really unites people as football, I guess. And it could be biased because I enjoy football more than other sports. But I think like every single person who just observes how sports work would back me on this one. And um, again, for a country, it sort of brings you a belief that if you try hard enough, you can always achieve what you want to do, even if the odds aren't really in favor of you. And for us, I'd say like Greece, who were a better opposition, a team we would never beaten before. We played 10 games against Greece and lost seven and drew three. Well, this was also a draw, although I mean, kind of counts as a win, but it's registered as a draw. But even that, like everything added up together for us to maybe fail, but again, with a sort of belief, right mentality, right mindset. And one of the good things about the footballers nowadays is that they've changed way too much compared to what footballers were like 10 years, even 10 years ago, which is not a long time if you think about it, but it sort of speaks about like the way, I'd say the whole world that affects you and the way you think about yourself, your career, your personal views, and that also can spread to people in terms of like even like success stories like Kvaratskhelia, who played in Georgia. He started his career in Georgia. He was in Georgia until up until he was like 18. Then he moved to Russia, not the greatest league at the time, not the greatest decision, and he slowly moved his way up to finally be crowned as the best player in Italy last season. So obviously, it kind of gives you extra boost of thinking of hey, if I work hard enough, dedicate myself to something, no matter if you're a footballer, no matter if you're a doctor, I don't know, anyone, if you're working in a bank or whatever that is, you're going to feel that there is a success story in my own country of the same people from someone with the same background, with the same difficulties in their family, but they've managed to do something. That means, well, if I try hard enough, I may achieve even more. And I think it will obviously reflect in people, and if and when the sort of political difficulties have sort of fade down and finally manage to settle in, especially after the Euros, because who knows what will happen at the Euros for us, and it will definitely change a lot of things, and it will change only for the better of the country and for the people in general, because again, as I mentioned before, we've come from a rather difficult background, a couple of wars inside the last 30 years, which obviously is a major setback, and this all little moments definitely help people just to again feel happy for maybe a few hours, few days, months, years, and well, thank God the players managed to give that moment to people, and maybe they will use it for the benefit.
Well, that's very inspiring, and it shows. It's interesting to have a historical background as well.
Yeah,
I feel like it is important in the story of Georgia, and especially with when I was looked into the context of, and I knew a bit about it, just reading up in the news prior to that. It does go to show that the football tournaments like this and national moments like this, it can really be a big impetus and a big catalyst for change, and also just lift people's spirits and stuff. So and that I think it is true for anyone living in sort of difficult circumstances, that when you see someone on the big screen that's from the same place as you,
yeah,
it really does resonate. So yeah, thanks for that. Any final words on the Georgian team itself that we can expect for the tournament, or any
yeah.
predictions?
Well, I'm gonna give out like an optimistic prediction and put it this way. We will end the group stages with 4 points. It doesn't really matter where we get those 4 points, but we're going to finish group stage 4 points, which will be enough for us to qualify for the knockout stages. And then I don't know, but I think we have got we have got what it takes to get positive results, and even if it's not the case, still it's a great experience for us. I'm personally going to the tournament, attending all 3 games. So as a supporter who's been with the team throughout the years, being with them in a international stage is definitely something special for me and for tens of thousands of other people who will be at the grounds. And I think yeah, it will be a memorable occasion, and even better than many people predict for us to be. So we'll definitely see. We'll definitely see.
Well, everyone loves the story of the underdog, the story of
Yeah,
the rebellion against the
yeah,
footballing
yeah, yeah.
status quo. So I'll be rooting for you, obviously mainly rooting for
Thanks,
England, but
man.
I'll be rooting for you as my second team if England do have an abysmal run, and then put all my hopes in Georgia. So thank you very much for your time. It's been a pleasure speaking to you.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me. Thank you.